Happy Thursday, Houston. I'm KHA 11 meteorologist Kim Castro. I've got a lot to walk you through today. We're going to start off in the tropics with Hurricane Erin. So it is still a Category 2 storm as of this morning's 10 a.m. advisory, and it's very close to the East Coast. So there are impacts, even though this is not a direct landfall, that are being felt right now, mainly for North Carolina into Virginia and eventually gliding up the northeast towards New York and Boston. It's moving to the north-northeast at 18 miles an hour, so eventually it does take that easterly trajectory away from the continental U.S., but not throughout the remainder of today. So we are watching some pretty significant wave heights flaring up for today. Not only that, there's elevated tides, there's a concern for rip currents and coastal erosion as this big system continues to work its way up the coastline. It is expected to drop in intensity some by tonight at 10 o'clock as a Category 1, but still hurricane. And so the impacts for the East Coast remain the same. Folks need to stay off the water. There's a tropical storm warning right now. This is again North Carolina to Virginia and gliding up the eastern seaboard. In addition to the waves, which by the way could get up to 24 feet, that's what the warning is for. There's some wind that's going to be impacting these communities as well, and it's at 45 to 55 miles an hour. So you don't have to have that system, scrape land for the outer wind field to be an issue. So that could lead to power outages, especially for coastal communities. Another layer to monitor, and that is just one aspect of the tropics that I have to walk you through because it is very busy. We have a rainbow of probabilities. I'm tracking 3 different areas. So this is the brand new area with a 30% chance of development. Now notice the National Hurricane Center has a small circle around it. So the probability of development is not very high, and also the probability that it will last is not very high either. And that's the same thing with this area that has a medium chance for development. So while it could turn into something, it wouldn't last very long. And the reason being, both of these areas are in an environment that's not very conducive for additional development, or at least sustaining the system if any were to form. The difference between this area that's in bright red, well, a couple of differences. First and foremost, there is a high chance for development, 70% over the next 7 days. And even in the short term, in the next 2 days, it's got at least a 40% chance for development. And notice the area to monitor by the National Hurricane Center is a lot more expansive, because if the system does form, which at this point it's expected to, it could last for quite a bit longer. And it could track towards land, towards Bermuda, as you can see. So that's going to be one that I keep an extra eye on. So these are the 3 areas. Notice the 30% chance and the 40% chance are going to be impacted by some wind shear. They're under this area of high pressure. And so for that reason, looking at the vorticity, well, there's just not a lot. There's a little bit of bright red there with that 40% chance blob, but then it drops off. Look at the 70% chance area. That one remains pretty bright. Vorticity is a rotation detector, so it picks up on the likelihood of organization happening here. And so there is a good chance for that one to become organized. And there's a good chance it's going to be impacted by this high pressure area. It could be another steering current for it. So very similar to Erin, which was under the influence of high pressure, that steering current nudges it towards the north, which is good. It keeps things away from the U.S. Regardless, we'll keep an eye on things throughout the rest of the week to see any subtle shifts, because that can really change the forecast. But right now we are on track to see the next named storm, which would be Fernand. Here are your local headlines. It's going to be less hot today and tomorrow because we've got some afternoon storms that are coming in a little bit earlier than what we've seen days past. Like we talked about already, the tropics, they're staying active, so that's something that we'll have to keep an eye on each and every day. So today's snapshot looks like this. We got pretty good coverage today, a 60% chance for storms, a 50% chance for tomorrow. That's still pretty healthy downpours. And then by this weekend, rain chances start to peter out. So 30% for Saturday, 20% for Sunday, and we'll continue with that same pattern as we transition into next week. Temperatures right now are a little bit cooler than where we were yesterday, or less hot, I should say. There's no such thing as cooler in the month of August for Houston. But the clouds are helping with that. 91 degrees right now at IAH, and it feels like 95. Hobby Airport, 89 feels like 97, and it feels like the triple digits in Sugar Land, even though the actual air temperature is only at 92. In Conroe, that's a cooler spot for us, 88 degrees, feels like 96. Your hour-by-hour forecast shows we're not going to heat up a whole lot more than that. I think high temperatures today top off, well, low to mid-90s. And that's because the storm chances are going to start to pick up the pace here in a few hours and linger until about 4 or 5 o'clock, but that's usually the peak heating of the day. So if you have showers during peak heating of the day, it means temperatures aren't going to, be allowed to climb as high because they'll have the evaporation from the rain that drops temperatures. Yesterday, in contrast, we made it up to 101 degrees because the showers, the storms didn't start rolling in until about 6. And so there was ample time for temperatures to continue to heat up. Hopefully that makes sense. Radar right now, it's starting to show some activity. You'll notice it's been pretty quiet here for the morning and the early afternoon, but now that we're starting to get into the lunchtime, you'll notice a couple of showers starting to flare up just south and east of Hempstead. So eventually some of these will start to fill in, get closer towards Cypress, and eventually drop down to 90 and get closer towards the I-10 corridor. Anywhere else that we're seeing any shower activity? Yes. So Roman Forest, Eastgate, you're seeing a little bit of rain, some lightning there, but otherwise it's pretty clear elsewhere. Yeah, nothing else that I'm monitoring for now. That, again, is going to be a little bit more active as we go into the 2 o'clock hour. So that's what it should look like. Models are putting in some pretty healthy downpours for Harris County. So by 2:30, give it about 2 hours, we'll see some storms for Bush Airport, down to Hobby, and down the Gulf Freeway. And these storms could linger here for a few hours. And if this is the case, if they don't move out of here fast enough, then we could see some rain accumulation, which is why we have to watch some localized street flooding potential. So the models are putting out the possibility of some areas picking up 3, maybe 4 inches of rainfall. Now, don't look at this map and think Hobby Airport, that's what the heavy rain is going to be. This is more so an idea of what the area, what the coverage could be like. So this big cluster of downpours could very easily be in Jersey Village. So the big general trend is that some areas are not going to get rain and others are going to get a quick downpour. So very similar to what we saw yesterday. This is a rainfall map of yesterday. You'll notice Alameda picked up 4 inches of rain, Brookside Village picked up 3, and then inside the loop, we picked up none. It was stormy, yes, but not a lot of rain. So hit or miss storms today, but if you are part of the area that gets the thunderstorm activity, well, you can expect some pretty juicy raindrops. Tropical air mass in place means it's that blinding rain that we're going to have to be battling with, which is why I try and limit the amount of travel you do, especially between 2 and 4. Flood risk today is a 1 on the 1 to 4 scale, so it's marginal. It's not super high, but it's something that could impact you. So with the rain-cooled air, we're going to see temperatures stay nice and low for today and tomorrow. Low, relatively speaking. Average high for this time of year should be right around 96, 97 degrees, so we're a little bit below that thanks to some cloud cover and some rain-cooled air. As the rain chances start to drop off this weekend, not as bad, meaning you can go outside and, get back to the routine of going to the park, going for your walks, your runs, outdoor activities will be much easier to plan for when you don't have to consider those afternoon downpours. That's especially true into Sunday as rain continues to drop off at just 20%. And that means that the heat is going to start to kick back up. So high temperatures for Sunday, I think at the very least upper 90s. We could get closer to the triple digits, to be honest. And then that's the same thing as we start off the coming week. By the middle of the week, though, We will see the return of a couple more short waves, so a few more impulses of energy to pick up more moisture and bring us higher rain chances. So take advantage of the nice weekend for some pool days, for some barbecues, whatever you have